What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast episode 65, the 7-year Skritch. For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of three busy gamers making their way to the Nova Open Convention every year, playing games that they love and balancing life with those games. My name is Jerod Johnson, and tonight I am joined by Jason Table Dew Murray.
Has it really been 7 years already?
7 years already. Well, I mean, not technically. I mean, the calendar year has been 7 years, yes.
This came out in 2017.
2017.
Good. Wow. I've been playing this a long time.
A long time, yeah. Really feeling that 7-year Skritch, huh?
I am. It's itchy.
Well, you've already 7-year Skritched away, Mr. Lorcana. But anyway, so in tonight's episode, we are going to be giving our standard Rivals review of Spiteclaw's Swarm. So we'll walk through the deck. We'll give you our top choices for objectives, gambits, and upgrades that you want to see early in the game. And these episodes are being recorded out of order. Fun fact.
Fun fact. So if you want to know what we've been up to, go to the next episode.
Yep, because we've basically been up to nothing other than what we already talked about. We will repeat that we will have a pending episode regarding the new errata and FAQ and the impact that we think it will have both locally and maybe we'll talk about the meta broadly. But I think that's it. Anything else to talk about before we jump in?
I would just, random thought.
Do it.
Your new X-Men 97, like how you liking that? Because I know you were a huge fan when you were
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's like one of the best television shows that's come out in a while.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, is that a low bar? Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. There is a ton of it that is nostalgia-esque. But there's a lot, like they're doing a lot really well. I think they are telling tight stories. I was talking with my brother about this and actually Danny too. I really wish the episodes were about 40 minutes total. It feels like if they had 10 more minutes to tell stories that they could flesh out the episodes a little bit more, like go into some more depth with the stories, but they do a really good job for running like the 23-minute, 30-minute, like Saturday morning cartoon runtime and still telling compelling stories. Like there've been a couple of episodes that like I've gotten fairly emotional over without any spoilers, but yeah,
that's awesome.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah, speaking of really sad things, I was doom scrolling today and realized that after the last episode of the last batch airs, that's probably going to be the last of the prequel content that we get.
I just saw a trailer today for May the 4th. They're coming out with like an Empire stories. Yeah,
but the Tales from the Empire, right? But those are going to be short stories but that's the Empire. Like that's the real Empire, not the prequels. Like this will be the last of the Clone Trooper stories. That just hit you.
I mean, maybe. Like I guess the timeline gets really confusing to me.
Yeah.
Because I've watched it out of order. So to me it's all Star Wars. So yeah, I guess you're right. Like, and I've enjoyed the Bad Batch. It's a good little cartoon, although you're probably way further ahead than I am. So
yeah, I mean I'm caught up. So there's like 3 more episodes, I guess. Anyway. Wow.
Cool.
We're a TV podcast now. Hooray.
Yeah. It was Star Wars, it's kind of relevant.
Yeah, there's a game.
X-Men.
X-Men's relevant, right? I got all those models painted. And more stuff's coming out. Anyway, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about Spiteclaw Swarm. Yes. And we're back, and we are here to cover Spiteclaw Swarm, giving our Rivals review. We'll go through the fighter cards in brief, and then we'll spend most of our time talking about the objectives, gambits, and upgrades that you want to see early in your games as you are playing the warband. So, this warband. 5-fighter warband. I think the most remarkable thing, and I basically say this every time we talk about this warband, is that they are all move 5 uninspired, which is just insanely fast.
It's a lot of movement.
Like, there aren't any other warbands that... I mean, the other Skaven, right? Skittershank, they're all move 5. But other than that, like even like Garrick's Reavers, they have to inspire to go to move 5. I think some of the elf warbands inspire to move 5. But to just have all of your fighters at move 5 out the gate. I remember when they launched, it was like, oh, this is like Garrick's Reavers, but better. Mostly because back then Skritch was the greatest. Yes. He's still really good.
That he was.
Anyway, so we have Skritch Spiteclaw. He is a leader. Move 5, 2 dodge, 4 wounds, range 2, 2 smash, 2 damage. He has the swarm action, and this is choose a friendly minion that is out of action. Place the chosen fighter on an empty starting hex. So not an empty starting hex in your territory, but any empty starting hex. And then he also has the schemer ability, range 1 or range 2 attack actions made by this fighter that are supported by 1 or more friendly minions have crit Grievous 1. And then he and the rest of the warband inspire the same way. This fighter is chosen as the target of a ploy. So it has to have the choose keyword in the ploy, and it is a ploy, not a spell. So Gambit spells will not inspire them. But when he inspires, he gains cleave on his attack, and he also gains a scything attack that is 3 fury, 1 damage with crit Grievous 1. So that could spike to crit Grievous 2 if you got all those supports. And then we have Crick, the almost trusted, the second in command, the trusty, not so trusty second in command. Move 5, 1 block. He also is range 2, 2 smash, 2 damage. And he has the Crick Rules Now ability. Reaction, use this after a friendly Skritch is taken out of action. Draw 2 power cards.
Yeah, when he is inspired, it's draw 3. That's really cool.
Yeah. And then Crick leads. While a friendly Skritch is out of action, this fighter is a leader. And then he also has the schemer ability. And then his big change is that he goes to 2 dodge when he inspires. And then, Jason, as you called out, he gets to draw 3 power cards if Skritch is taken out of action. Yeah, so those are the 2 kind of big, the beefier of the rats. And then we have the 3 minions, the Lurking, the Festering, and the Hungering Skaven. They're all move 5, all 2 wounds. The Lurking starts at 2 dodge. Festering starts on 1 dodge. The Hungering with the shield starts on 1 block.
Stays on 1 block. And
he stays on 1 block. Festering inspires to 2 dodge. Their attacks are nothing worth really writing home about. Uninspired, so Lurking and Festering are 2 fury, 1 damage. Hungering is 1 smash, 1 damage, but it is scything, so you got that going for you. But when they inspire, Lurking goes to 3 fury, 1 damage, and he also gains a shuriken attack action, so range 3, 2 fury, 1 damage. And then Festering's Wicked Dagger goes to 3 fury with crit Grievous 1, and Hungering Skaven's Flail goes to 2 smash and retain scything. So that's the fighters. Pretty straightforward.
They are straightforward, but there's some hidden, not hidden, but like just the supporting Grievous.
Yeah,
I think could be very, very interesting. And that the additional range attack, with the kind of Ninja Star-esque.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays into Lurking.
Yeah, because normally he's the one that you put out front because he's on 2 dodge, but it might be worth keeping him back. Or you inspire him and you just let him throw Ninja Stars.
Yeah.
From the front line early on. I think it definitely opens up some more options. Yeah, I think it's cool that they can bring fighters back. And we won't talk about this upgrade, but there's an upgrade that allows other fighters to bring minions back if Skritch is taken out of action. So you're not completely hopeless, but you are dependent on that upgrade. Anyway, That is not one of the upgrades that we have chosen that you want to see early. Browbeater. Thank you, sir. And it's not just for Crick, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Minion or him.
Minion, yeah, cool. Anyway, we didn't pick that one because you don't want to rely on that card. You definitely don't want to see it early because that means that you're planning on Skritch going out of action, which is just sad.
Don't get rid of the best.
We're going to talk about the objectives that you want to see early. Jason, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so there's going to be kind of a theme through here in turn 1. We're kind of going to rely on those minions and hopefully come in with a big attack at the end or beginning of round 2. So my first one is going to be Standing Out. Score this immediately after a friendly minion makes a successful attack action. Uninspired, it may be a little difficult.
Yep.
With 1 hitting on 1 hammer and then 2 hitting on 2 fury. But we have some tech that could help us.
Yeah, I mean, and once you get inspired, it becomes a lot more reasonable to land 1 successful attack action by one of your minions. Yep. So speaking of inspired minions, the next one that we would like to see early is Send in the next wave. And this is a surge. Score this immediately after an inspired friendly minion is taken out of action. So this basically offsets the fact that you have thrown a minion into dangerous territory, hoping to land that successful attack action. So it's a net 0 when it comes to the glory because they went out of action, but you gained a glory for the objective. And then what's last, Jason?
The last one is Vermintide. It's a duel. Score this in an end phase. There are 1 or more surviving friendly fighters in enemy territory, and there are more surviving friendly fighters than surviving enemy fighters. The key here is, so you have to have more surviving than your enemy. Later in the game, that's probably not going to happen. So with 5 fighters, you can kind of hedge your bets that you're going to have more fighters. And if you don't, you're probably playing against a horde warband, which then this warband can actually deal enough damage to deal with hordes. So if you send it in and your plan goes perfectly, you go in, you inspire a fighter, you go in and you attack, you score Standing Out, then they get bopped back when you send in the next wave, then hopefully your last activation, you could maybe resummon this fighter into enemy territory and score Vermintide.
Yep. Yeah, go last and you get the chance to just drop an inspired rat on a starting hex in enemy territory. I like it. Seems like a good strategy. On the Gambit side, we'll start here. And so we mentioned before that the Inspire condition is this fighter is chosen as the target of a ploy. So shock of shocks, we are choosing ploys that choose fighters. You want to get inspired as early as you can with this warband. And so the first one that we picked was Musk of Fear. Choose a friendly fighter, give the chosen fighter 1 guard token. So not only have you inspired a fighter probably to 2 defense dice, RIP Hungering Skaven, but you've also significantly increased their defensive capabilities by putting them on guard. So now they count blocks as defense, and they can't be driven back.
Yes. But I'm going to up you 1 more because I think these 2 like tie together. You have the Musk of Fear and then Nervous Scrabbling. Choose 2 fighters that are adjacent to each other, 1 or more of which needs to be a friendly fighter. Place each fighter in the hex that was occupied by the other when you chose them. Or when you choose them. So you're inspiring 2 fighters.
Yep.
And we want to pick a board that has 2 hexes right next to each other.
Yep.
We probably want to have Skritch and a minion
next to each other.
Or you could do Kirk. Yep. But
you want the minion because you want Standing Out.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to pick the minion.
Yep.
Right? And I'm going to flip their positions. Then I'm going to send that minion across the board and say, adios, muchachos.
Yep.
But now Skritch is inspired. They're inspired. And then I can use Musk of Fear on Kirk or somebody else like that I need to survive.
Right.
And then I have 3, like within the first power step, I could have 3 fighters inspired.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Sounds good. So, the last one we want to see, another choose. This is Swift Skitter. You can play this card, only play this card in your power step. Choose a friendly fighter with no move or charge tokens. The chosen fighter makes one move action. Give the fighter one charge token. So, this would be a good way to force a friendly fighter into enemy territory in the final power step if you go last, or to really force your opponent's hand. If they're going to go last, maybe you send you've inspired this fighter, so now you can send them in and score us in the next wave.
I'm probably going to use it after turn my activation 3.
Yep.
I've already now on activation 3, I sent my lone minion that was inspired across to try to get a successful attack action. I'm then going to do the Swift Skitter going into my opponent's turn 4.
Yep.
Right. And I run the other one and I stand next to the same fighter. So I have 2 fighters standing next to another enemy fighter. And I make them make a choice on who they're going to attack. Because then in my 4th activation, I can try to come across with the greatest yes.
Yep.
And get the Crit Grievous.
I like it.
That's just
a good strategy.
And I then score all the things. And if they kill my fighter and I need to position them, I cannot attack and bring a fighter back. Lots of options. I really like those 3 cards.
Yeah.
It would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Would be. Because then I'm going to use this glory to use some of these sweet upgrades.
Yeah. You want to walk us through the first one?
The first one I'm gonna pick, and this one, it's tasty, but it has a setback, right?
Yep.
I love Murder Skaven, so I want Chaos Tainted Blades. It is an attack action, range 1, 3 fury, 2 damage, and here's the juiciness. It has cleave and ensnare.
Spicy.
But it is also tainted because it is chaos.
Yep.
So during this attack action, after the deal damage step, deal 1 damage to this fighter.
Oops.
But, I'm probably going vulnerable. It's okay. There is always more, so it's fine.
Yeah. You could actually use that to score or send in the next wave, because the inspired friendly minion does not have to be taken out of action by an enemy attack action.
So run through a lethal. Make the attack. After the deal damage step, I die and score. Oh, jeez, man.
Yep. And then they can come right back.
Could they?
They could. Yep. It would be even better.
What?
Is if that minion was completely expendable. So this is the next upgrade that we want to feature. This fighter has no bounty.
Wow.
The next time this fighter is taken out of action, break this card. So,
it's a one use only.
One use only, but no bounty.
No bounty.
Yep.
That's good. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You could also go with the Sewer Whisperer, right? And I think this one goes on one of our leader folk, like a Skritch.
So. Yep.
Or a Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
No, it's Captain Kirk.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, good. During this fighter's attack action, if you rolled 1 or more successes, add 1 success to the number of successes you rolled. When you're already rolling 2 dice on hammers with support, I want another die.
Yeah.
And that's all. If I roll 1 success, it's 2.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I mean, the chances of rolling 1 smash or crit on a 2 dice attack is you got a 75% chance of rolling at least 1.
At least 1.
So that at least 1 has now become 2. And one of those successes could be a crit. So now you've got a crit and a normal success.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
It's pretty good. And if you put it on, if you have to use it on one of your minions and you're rolling the 3 fury, that's even spicier.
Yeah.
I really like that card. It's the first time we've seen that mechanic that I can recall where you're adding success.
There were some gambits. No. I think there's one somewhere where if you're tied, you get to add 1.
Yes. But it was like a weird. thing.
Anyway, it's also not in this deck, so we don't need to talk about it.
That's good. We got
people listening, screaming at us right now, telling us the name of the upgrade, and that's great. Somebody message us on Discord and tell us how badly we failed by forgetting the name of that card. Can we talk about the card art and the flavor text for Sewer Whisperer?
I mean, it's a lot of rats.
It is like a swarm of rats, and then some Skaven have an uncommon ability to get their lesser kin to battle upon their behalf, covering the battlefield in a tide of matted, stinking bodies. So the image that is being evoked here is that, like, it's not like this fighter has become more accurate. They are just covering you in a swarm of rats, and that's what's making the attack go through. Like, that's what's actually dealing the damage. It's pretty horrifying.
I mean, sure, if you're afraid of rats.
Well, I mean, I'd be afraid of these rats.
Not me.
Well, I mean, you're the Amos to my quiet Pock. So
the rats just want to be loved, man.
I know. Well, you're just swinging away with your whatever, woodchopper's strength or whatever.
Woodcutter's strength.
Woodcutter's strength. No.
I'm Lenny.
Oh, all right. Play style. I'm gonna give this one to you, Jason, because I think you actually you gave it the right name.
I forgot what name I give it. Some sort of like, something aggro.
Yep. Selective aggro.
Yeah, there you go. Selective aggro. I can't remember these things.
No, you have selective memory.
I do. Yeah, selective aggro. So because they are 2 wound fighters, and I've stated this plenty of times in the past, you have to pick and choose when you're going in. I think we've given you a great line on the opening gambits and opening objectives as to how you should sacrifice your rats. Remember, there is always more, but it is very hard to overcome the glory bleed that your 3 2-wound fighters are going to give up. You are heavily reliant on that 2 defense dice. So you have to be selective when you go in. But they're murder Skaven. And I think it'll become very evident of what I'm thinking when we talk about our Nemesis pairing. But don't just always be charging. Select when you're going to charge and make sure you're inspired.
Yeah, I agree. And so the one thing to consider is that you do have the swarm action from Skritch. There is the gambit Plenty More, which is a gambit that lets you bring a minion that's out of action back onto the battlefield. And then there is the upgrade Browbeater, which lets minions and Crick bring other minions back. So you have options for returning the fighters, but they will bleed glory. Jason, you talked about this a little bit when it comes to boards. I think because of nervous scrabbling, you want to make sure that you have at least 2 adjacent starting hexes. If you can have 2 sets of 2 adjacent starting hexes, I don't know that there are many boards that have that. Then that'll give you some options for your nervous scrabbling. In that, to try to get that off. The Worm Burrow.
I mean, Glacial Tomb is
oh my gosh.
My new favorite board.
It is. Well, it's the prettiest board in the game, in my opinion, and it is a really good board just in general. So, even Frostwrack Ruins, you're either going to have 2 people really far back or 2 people really far up. But that one's got 2 sets of 2 adjacent starting hexes.
Yeah, and you don't mind the cover hex, right?
Yeah. Definitely don't hate a cover hex from these fighters.
I mean, you could totally go the Glacial Graveyard and not forecast to your opponent who you're going to inspire because you're going to have 3.
True with the 3, yeah.
But those stagger hexes,
but if you've got somebody coming in, that's exactly what you want, right? To not have to put yourself out there, to land your attacks.
And
with Crick and Skritch both being range 2
poking over the top.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe. That's a maybe.
Yeah. I don't. It would not be my first choice.
No.
But anyway, What do you do? I sit down with the Skaven across from you, Jason. What are you doing to undermine my scheme plan?
I think the plan has always been to take out the greatest. Yes, yes. And if you present Skritch, I'm going after you. He's a little less scary now that he's just 2 with cleave and 2 damage.
Yeah.
But he is kind of the heart and soul of the warband. I really like the design that gives Kirk other tools, but at 3 wounds, I'm going Kirk if he's there, and then Skritch. But Skritch is the one that's doing the heavy lifting. So
yeah.
And then if you're not going to inspire, like if I have a juicy festering or huggering just kind of out there on a flank at 2 wounds on a single defense dice, yeah, I'm gobbling them up.
Yep. Maybe even gobbling them up with Gobbleluck.
Gobblegook.
All right. So when it comes to Nemesis pairings, we have 2. So my pick would be Fearsome Fortress, and I've played a couple of games with a Fearsome Fortress deck that I'm kind of tweaking with them when I have the chance to play it. And really what it lets you do is take advantage of some of the hold feature token, beyond feature token capabilities of the Fearsome Fortress deck. It also gives you 2 attack action upgrades, which the minions love, right? The Mason's Great Hammer and Starmaw are both really good for the minions. And then Stagger, like all of the Stagger tech that is in the Fearsome Fortress deck is really good, especially if you're fishing for those schemer supported Crit Grievous ones. So, and then what do you like, Jason?
I murder Skaven. I'm coming at you. I like Breakneck Slaughter. The reason I like it is because of the Hurricane Darts, the Lance, and I want to say there was one more. No, might have been in my own. Yeah. So those 2 like gives me 2 more weapon upgrades. I already have 2 weapon upgrades in my Rivals deck from my warband. I also love the additional damage.
Yes.
Right. So Devastating Charge. Yes, please. +1 damage. I already have an in-faction +1 damage.
Yep.
I don't really care about the momentum counters. And if you stagger me, I have Fear Musk. Like I can give myself a guard token and take that stagger away. I just think there's a lot of really good cards, like +1 dice, -1 damage. Yeah, I'm ready to fly in and tumble and slide and do everything around. And good luck keeping me away from you with 6 move.
Yeah, or more.
Or more.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's a good choice. I think it would be fun. New player rating.
I'm giving them a silver.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm giving them a silver is because the 2 wound fighters. Like,
yeah,
your first couple games, you're gonna lose fighters, and you're gonna be like, wow, they just bleed glory. What do I do? Oh my goodness, like Skritch missed because he is the greatest and he's really good at missing. So,
yes.
Yeah, they're gonna be fun. Like I do, out of all the Mirrored City warbands, obviously Mollog is my favorite, and the Rats would come in a close second.
Yeah.
I wish there was a deck that had even more weapons, but it's fine because remember those weapons that stay and you bring them back, you're gaining activations.
Right. Yeah. The inertial lance. You put it on a missile and you can bring the missile right back. And now you're a threat range of 7. It's pretty good.
Yeah, because his return doesn't give them any. Yeah, there's no tokens that they get. And then what about the?
So the Browbeater gives them either a move or a charge. But I mean, you give them a move token, and I mean they can still attack.
Yeah, and the plenty more Empty hex and not an objective give that fighter 1 move or charge token, so you can do whatever you need to do there. You can give them a move, and they can still attack, whether that's 4, 2, 3 away. There's push tech in the deck. Like, it's we're good.
And so I do want to say that if you give Kirk Browbeater, the chosen minion does not get a charge token.
Oh, okay.
So if Kirk is the one bringing them back, then you can bring them back on any empty hex, not on an objective. So it's almost better than...
if this fighter is not Kirk, give this fighter 1 charge. The person cited. So
so the person summoning gets the charge token. The chosen one doesn't get a token either way.
And I actually like that better. Like, to be honest, I'm probably going to put that because, like, Skritch has put him on a starting hex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could, like, put this on. It does not state that he has to be the leader, right?
Nope. Yeah. So you can just put it on him.
Put it on him, and then if you do need to bring somebody back, you use this one, and it can be on an empty hex that is just not an objective.
Yeah.
That's pretty... Wow. Look at that.
Yeah. And then my mind just went down a rabbit hole. You could go with the masks and do Maskborn or whatever it is.
You could.
Bring back Crook. He takes the action to bring back a minion. Or bring back Skritch. Skritch takes the action to bring back a minion. Kirk's inspired. So now you draw 3 power cards.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just definitely a lot of play here. Again, like, the biggest thing would be getting damage and getting hits. Like, they're Murder Skaven for a reason. They do like objectives too. Like, they like that play style, kind of like an end phase scoring. I'm happy that they're back. Happy to see them on the table. But Beauty and the Beast will just slaughter them, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Skinnerkin are a big fan of 2-wound fighters. Melmorn, also a fan of 2-wound fighters, but probably going to get outmaneuvered by a 5-move as Velmorn. So, anyway, I think that's it. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the show. And we're back, and that will wrap up the 65th episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. Really scratching that 7-year Skritch here.
I still can't believe it's been 7 years.
Yeah, it's so wild. Here's to 7 more.
Drink to that.
Yeah. So, as always, we want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen. Please be sure to subscribe or follow in whatever app or platform you're using to listen to the podcast. We are Battle Mallet 1 on X. We are Battle Mallet PCast on Instagram, Battle Mallet Podcast on Facebook. We are at Battle Mallet Podcast on YouTube. And then for anyone that has been using Google Podcast, I think that just got sunsetted, and now everything is on YouTube Podcast, but I've gotten that configured and set up so the episode should auto-publish to YouTube Podcasts. So you can listen to it there, but most people, based on our analytics, are listening from either iTunes or from Podbean or Pocket Casts, I believe.
Way to go, Tech Wizard.
No, that's me. Data. It's good stuff. So just keep your ear out for a pending episode regarding the new errata designer's commentary. We also need to put out an episode around what we'll be doing at Nova to talk about that. And then
spoiler, playing games and not balancing life with those games.
No balance, no game life balance, just pure gameage.
There we go.
Yeah, so for the Battle Mallet podcast, I'm festering.
I'm hungering.
And I guess Trace be lurking away. That's a fun story that everyone will hear later.
Yep.
This is Jerod signing out.
And I'm Jason Table Murray. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
Go Bills.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
We are idiots. Yes, yes.
We are.
All right. This is episode 65. The last one was episode 66.